Hi, hello, welcome to MutualGrid Photoshop tutorial. Today I'm going to give you an explanation video for the Blender portion I did for the last tutorial. Many complained that they didn't understand the Blender part of that last Aluma Doluma tutorial. So today I'm going to teach that with my voice. First of all, I'm going to delete this cube in the Blender interface. To do that, I'm going to press either delete or X. I'm going to press X, so it is asking for delete, and click delete. I'm going to add a new object, that is a text object. You can use, actually Blender is a shortcut driven package, which means you need to know lot of shortcuts to use Blender wisely. For the sake of tutorial, for your better understand, I'm going to use direct options. So first of all, I'm going to insert a text file. So I have inserted a text file, and now I'm going to roll over with my middle click, that is the scroll key in the mouse. You can see the option here. I am pressing that button to rotate, orbit around the interface. If you hold on shift and use center mouse button, you can pan around the interface. I'm using same middle mouse button without shift key to orbit around, and if I use shift key and press the middle mouse button, it's pan on the viewport. So I'm going to set this to top view. We have to edit this text. To edit this text, you can go to edit mode in Blender. To go to edit mode, you can use either tab key. If you press tab key, you can get into edit mode. You can type anything, and if you press tab key again, you can get back to object mode. To go to edit mode, there is other option called the other option here. Click on object mode and select edit mode. It gets you into the edit mode. So now I'm going to type Blender, right? And I'm going to close out from the edit mode by pressing tab. I need a bold font. To get bold font, please don't use left click button. Blender actually uses a right click button. Remember that. And I'm going to set a bold font for this. To set bold font, pull this side window over, and you can see the F symbol on the top. Click that and select the font from there. Here, this folder icon. Click that and load some fonts. Here I have Futura black font that I used in the last tutorial. Click open. Yeah, now you can see a bold font. If you orbit around by pressing middle mouse button, you can see that it is a flat file, not a 3D file. To make it 3D, what we have to do is scroll up in the same text option, and in the shape option we need a geometry, right? Just extrude. You can get 3D shape, right? There is a default camera in the scene. You can see this is outliner. This window is called outliner. You can see we have a camera, we have a lamp, we have a text. Basically, Blender has two render engines. One is Blender's default render engine and other one is Blender's default Cycles render engine. Cycles render engine gives you better result, but it takes some time to render. Blender render engine is pretty quick, but you have to work a lot to get a real nice render. I'm going to select render engine because this is so easy. If you render this text, what you can see is a colorless, a shadowless, a colorless image. We have little shadow by this lamp. I can change the color of this lamp to say yellow. I think red would be fine for this tutorial. And if you go to render view, these are different view option. You can play with this. The default option is solid view. I'm going to make it render view. You can see the light is affecting. That is, the light is giving red light. You can change the color of the light in the render view itself. Select the lamp and select here and change the color. You can see the changes. Use middle mouse button. Don't unexpectedly click left mouse button. If you have clicked, press Shift C to get back into the original place. I'm going to move back to solid view. We need a better light source than this. We don't need this source. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this light. Remember, we know the shortcut for delete. The shortcut is X and it is asking for delete and click. Okay, we have deleted the light. We need a light source to generate a light. To create that light source, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an white plane. So here I'm going to create a mesh. The mesh is a plane. You can increase the size of the mesh by pressing S key and scale it, or you can toggle these switches. This is translate, that is, you can move in either axis. If you hold on red arrow and pull, it moves on red line, that is X axis. If you click the green line and move, you can move the plane in Y axis. If you click the blue and pull up, you can move it in Z axis. The same thing for this is rotate. If you pull the blue one, that is Z axis, you can rotate around Z axis. The same vice versa for other axis also. And this is the scale. Remember, this is a 2D plane, so you cannot scale up in 3D, but we scale in 3D. We can scale up in other directions. I have scaled to fit enough amount. I'm going to move this up and I'm going to rotate it so that the light produced by this plane falls on the head portion, that is the top portion of the blender. I'm going to duplicate this plane by going to Object, Duplicate Object. You can learn shortcuts from here. I'm going to use shortcut Shift D and you can move the plane. Now you have two light sources. Now if you render, these are not lights. We have just created a plane. We didn't set them as a light source. To set them as light source, we have to create a texture. Everything need to be textured or material, or a material should be added to every object to get a clear, that is to get the skin for that object. So remember, we need these two planes to be an light source and this to be an solid source. First, to select the plane, I'm using right click. Please check the button I'm using in the image here. Left click don't work. left click usually moves this 3D cursor. So kindly remember to right click to select objects between the user in the interface. So remember, we need to make this as light source. Select these two objects, two mirrors. I haven't selected the blender, right, the text blender, and this is the materials panel. So we need to materialize this as a light source. Light source means it emits some light. So we need to create a new material, and that material is, go to the surface option, and the surface, the material is emission. And if you render this now, you can see, and I'm going to increase the strength. Actually we have selected only one object, we haven't selected this object, right? Select this object. See, I have selected this object, and you can select the same material by, we don't need a new material because we have already created a light material what we are getting. So click this material, click here, you can see the light material. You can rename it as light source. If you select the same object here and rename it as light source. Okay, now go to the render view. You can see the both acts as a light source, right? I'm going to increase the brightness of these lights here. If I increase the brightness of the lights, see, our text also gets brighter. I'm going to make it a settle amount, so this will be a fine amount, right? Remember, actually we need an yellow color light. To change the color of light, I'm going to select here and make this a light orange yellow color. I think it will be fine if you add some more color to this object itself. Remember, we haven't added any material to this object. That is, the object is plain gray color. To add a color to this material, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new material for this text itself. So click this to create a new text, and diffuse is enough. I'm going to change the color to orange yellow, and now if you render, you can notice we get a nice rich text. I need some more highlights from some more lights from the image to act on this text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these two planes closer. To do that, I'm going to select, I'm using right click to select and click the translate icon, and I'm moving, and I'm using same right click to select and moving. So I have brought them together. And if you render, these are too bright. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce these colors. I'm going to increase some. Yeah, for the sake of tutorial purpose, this would be enough. Yes, our purpose is complete, but we have to render this. Remember, I said we have a default camera in this Blender viewport. If you go to render, that is, render means getting an output image from a 3D scene. So if I press render image, you get only this. We didn't get the Blender text actually we created. To get back into 3D workspace, press escape. To set the camera to the view, the render is because of the camera is locating from here, shooting the image what we see while render, right? So what we have to do is we have to set the camera position like this, right? Like this, so that we can render and get a perfect output image. So what you have to do is position, that is, use your middle mouse button to position like this, right? And press Ctrl Alt 0, right? Don't use the number rows on the top of the QWERTY layout, keyboard layout. Use numpad 0. If you don't have any numpad, just go to File, Username, User Preference, and I think you have to select Input, select Emulate Numpad. This option will enable to use the number pad above the alphabets in the keyboard. That is, mostly laptop users don't have numpad. They can use this method by enabling Emulate Numpad. I'm going to close this, and now you can set the camera view. We have set the camera view. The camera view is not what we want. It doesn't include B and R, so we want to include B and R. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to solid view, right? Already we are in solid view. I'm going to middle mouse and move. See, our camera is now looking at the text blender. I'm going to move the camera away, and if you click 0, you can see through the camera view, and now you can see the blender is in top, but still we need the blender to be at the center portion of the camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the camera slightly this direction, and if I look through the camera by pressing 0, it is centered. Still I need to, yeah, it's perfectly centered, but the text is slightly tilted. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select the text by right clicking on the text, and I'm going to rotate this by selecting this option. If you don't see this option, just press this key and push the red arrow and rotate, and right, we are ready, and render. Nice, we have get the 3D text, but wait, notice you see a lot of darks or noises in this picture. This is because of the Cycles render engine. Cycles render engine needs lots of samples. That is, samples means a lot of passes, that is lot of scanning on the 3D image to get the real output. To get the sampling, select this option and go to samplings. See, now we have only render samplings 10. Remember, samplings more than 100 will give a perfect result for this case. Usually, animation artists and graphic designers use above 500 and 1000. So for the sake of tutorial, and remember we are going to Photoshop this later, so it will be easily corrected. So I'm going to set this only 100. Right? Now if I render, it takes some time because we have added lots of scanning passes. That is, we have added lots of sampling to get this effect. Right? Yeah, we have some good result. If you even notice some more dots, just increase the samples and render it once again. It takes lot of time to render. Right? Yeah, we have obtained a pretty neat result, I think. But if you save this as PNG, you didn't get that transparent image as like I get. We need to make the work area transparent. That is, if you see in the render mode, the work output area is not transparent. We need this to be transparent. So what I'm going to do is I am coming to film tab and select transparent. Now you get a transparent world. So now if you render, you get a transparent, neat, transparent 3D text. And to save your image, what I'm going to do is check image and save as image. Select where you have to save and save it. And thanks for watching. If you like my videos and if you need more tutorials, kindly comment in the comment section below so that I can improve a lot in future, and do request for more tutorials and videos, and please kindly subscribe to my channel for more tutorials in future. And thanks for watching. Bye. See you on next tutorial tomorrow.